use the word investment even when speaking about purchasing a primary residence.
Yeah.
I'm sure you'd agree, right? I mean, is every real estate purchase an investment?
Yes, it is, in your future.
We're two immigrants here sitting on the couch chatting about real estate and finances. I was born in Belarus and you're from Germany.
Yeah.
I mean, tell our audience a little bit more, like, what's the story that got you to where you are today?
Why I went into real estate really is I bought a house 2.5 years ago and didn't have too much luck with my realtor, changed realtors. Then it worked out well, but I was very interested and very detail oriented. I created an Excel spreadsheet with, little statistics I was interested in. I mean, price per square foot or neighborhood, like amenities. I made my own spreadsheet and was going very deep in the research. So because it's a big investment, it is still my biggest investment I've ever done. So
right.
I wanted to do it right. And yeah, my corporate job, I just wasn't too happy anymore and just wanted that change. And now I'm doing it over a year and I'm very, very happy where I am because I can build my own brand, my own business. It's what I always dreamed about. So
that's awesome. I'm sure a ton of folks can resonate with that and see almost themselves in that story. I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of folks out there who aren't necessarily loving that corporate job, maybe for one reason or another. I know a lot of my friends that I've been talking to are they feel like they could be doing more, or they feel like it's not necessarily in alignment with, I mean, you mentioned having a checklist for houses.
Yeah.
How about a checklist for jobs?
Yeah.
It's like, I'd like to be able to make my own schedule. I'd like to be able to come and go as I please and have my personal touch put on my business. And there's so many corporate jobs where that isn't allowed. And in fact, sometimes it's even suppressed or kind of frowned upon, and you're kind of told to stick by the books.
Exactly, yes. It's wonderful. I'm with Realty One Group Coastal, and they, I can brand myself, I can put my own company name under their logo, and I'm working under their umbrella. I have an awesome broker, probably the best broker in town. And she's just so supportive. So that's what I need really. I want to be the CEO. I'm in the business driver's seat or in the business owner seat.
Right.
And that's how I treat my business. And I have a very supportive husband, which is of course very important if you get started. Because also know when you start in real estate, I mean, you won't see a paycheck or anything. You will just see commission checks, and those come in regularly. So they don't come every month. They come maybe every other month, or it depends. It depends on the business you can generate.
And that's something, as an advisor for 10 years up in Boston and working with so many different realtors, you're right. I mean, we joke about, hey, how much vacation time does a realtor have? How many sick days do you have?
Exactly.
And especially even things like health insurance, even things like disability and life insurance aren't provided. The 401k with the match usually doesn't exist, right? And you're right, when you're transitioning from that corporate environment that has both pros and cons to get to that checklist. And you're absolutely right. Having a supporting spouse, supportive spouse can be very helpful, because I think the alternative side of that is one who isn't as supportive, and that could be definitely challenging in the nuts and bolts. But yeah, the ups and downs of you're not getting a paycheck on the 15th and 30th of each month regularly in that first year. And that's a lot of what we talk about with realtors is from a financial standpoint, something as simple as how do you organize your bank accounts? How do you make sure you're setting aside for taxes the right way? I know it's a famous joke up in the Northeast that a realtor will crush it and make $500,000 in a year, and then come April they're struggling to come up with another $50,000 or $70,000 to pay their taxes. When what we show is how do you optimize your cash flow so that out of each commission check, out of each paycheck, you know how much needs to be set aside for taxes.
Exactly.
And ready the next step, how much needs to be set aside for asset building and saving and putting aside for the future, while you're still paying bills each month. Those bills don't go away.
I know.
And correct me if I'm wrong, there's some out-of-pocket expenses as a realtor as well.
Lot,
What are some of the ones that you found?
Advertising, I mean, that's obviously in your hands, but if you want to get your name out there, you do have to invest. I mean, I'm a big fan of, doing community events, getting my name out. Like in my neighborhood, I did an Easter egg hunt just recently.
Oh, so cool.
What that cost? I mean, that has probably cost me almost $1,000 because I invited everyone personally with a postcard. I mean, that already alone was $600.
With stamps, I wish I bought more Forever stamps back when they were like 37 cents, because they're getting so much more expensive.
Yeah, but I had over 150 people showing up, so it was a great success, and it's awesome. I mean, that's that's really what I want. I want to build a community. I want my business to be about relationships. It's not about any business deals or just that one transaction. I really want to build lifelong relationships.
Yeah, I mean, I resonate with that completely. I mean, as an advisor, I started when I was 21 with no market. I had to build my own book of business. And very similarly, I mean, I looked at it as ways to get out there in the community, provide value, introduce myself, kind of position myself as a resource. I found a lot of great value in doing strategic volunteering. Where, you know, when you go to these networking events for all you business professionals out there, you know, sometimes it's tough if you're, you know, one realtor in a room of 50 people and there's 5 other realtors in the room there. And it's like, man, I don't want to like compete with these, I don't want to put them down, but you should work with me because I'm so much better, I care so much more. That what I found is with strategic volunteering, it's a way like when my family immigrated from Belarus, as Russian Jewish refugees, there was a federation in Boston that helps immigrants transition. And as a teenager, I found out about that organization and was able to find, you know, in my early 20s, volunteering opportunities to give back to the same community that helped my parents and my family get situated.
That's awesome.
And at the same time, I was the only financial advisor in the room. There wasn't 5 or 7 others. And so when people were meeting, they're like, wait, you actually do that? Like you help people with understanding student loans or like organizing their savings and doing better with growing their wealth and buying real estate? And then they're like, you gotta help me with that stuff. And it's this atmosphere.
The organic growth of your business.
And you can do it without having a secret agenda. Like even if at the end of the day I didn't meet anyone, but I just volunteered, like you still feel awesome about it.
Of course.
And those relationships, absolutely, this is not, I think for so many folks out there need to realize like life isn't transactional. It's about relationships. Time goes on. And it's very much like we talk about gardens. It's very much like a garden. And if you ignore a garden for months or a year, I mean, good luck seeing any kind of bright flowers.
Exactly, I agree. Yeah, and then also the educational standpoint. So I invest in my own education. I mean, I'm still fairly new to the business, and you know, I go to every training I can get into in my brokerage, which is awesome. It's every week. All the sales meetings are great because I get to chat with other agents and you know what's on the market, what's still off the market, which is a pocket listing. My buyers love that. You know, I sold a home, it hasn't even hit the market, and I sold it already, so it was awesome. You know, so those things are bringing value to my clients. And not every realtor can offer that, which is awesome for me because it sets me apart. And yeah, I invest in my education for sure.
So I mean,
and then bring that to my client. I love actually doing workshops in the future. For buyers who haven't never bought a house maybe, or buyers who are just interested in a certain loan program. I partner with my lender.
And that's the thing is I think those partnerships, those strategic alliances, right? I think naturally with a realtor, you're going to find a great lender and a real estate attorney and a contractor. And the more great people that you have to be in that sphere is certainly powerful. I know up in Boston, you know, the mortgage lenders and the realtors that I worked with up there, to be able to all realize that we're all helping we're helping each other by helping the client, right? I mean, it's a rising tide lifting all the boats in the bay. And I heard Charleston floods all the time, so I don't know if that's like if that's a bad joke to make here in Charleston. But you know, I think it's really important to realize like what are those key partnerships and relationships.
You want to have that, I guess, flexibility, and also, I mean, the client decides. So I'm not pushing anyone into any loan programs, and you know, I cherish that relationship and I be in contact with them. And there might be a lender who's better with doing workshops than another one. So that's all good because every person has their strengths. It turns out great.
Yeah, I know for me, like being able to be in an office one-on-one working with clients for a decade has been great. But people kept telling me, hey man, your energy and your passion, you kind of got to be on camera. You've got to get up on stage and do more stuff to reach out to more folks. And so a lot of this Money Pro tour where I'm traveling across the country, where we met here down in South Carolina in state number 6 of my 25 states, is really highlighting these stories. I mean, you mentioned earlier that you sold a property that never even ended up hitting the market. How did you finagle that? What was the buyer like? Was it like an investor who paid all cash? Like,
so
how did that work?
Yeah, I'm happy to share that. So first time home buyer, we were wanting to be very close to town, and the homes, you know, closer to downtown Charleston are all older. We have a very historic town here, and you know, in that West Ashley area where it was, closer to downtown. It's all like 60, 70 style homes. And we did put a contract in. The inspection came back pretty bad. There was a very big leak, which the owner even didn't know. It was going through the wall from a duct of an HVAC. After that, I mean, it was pretty devastating. We were like, well, you know, it could happen with any other home in this area. Let's branch out a little bit and see, you know, if you would drive 20 minutes more, would you be willing, and are you okay with that? And you get about, you know, between 800 and 1,000 square feet more. So we went outside of 526 in West Ashley, and I was in my office in my brokerage, and you know, there were, I think, 4 or 5 agents around me, and we talked, and then they told me about this listing. I'm like, hold on, it's that price range? It's that square footage, seriously?
Boom, boom, boom.
Exactly.
I can imagine your brain already checking out. Oh, wait, they're gonna like this.
Yeah, they do, and they did. I mean, it's so much more room. They have now 4 bedrooms instead of 3 tiny bedrooms.
And the seller was willing to accept offers without it going to market.
Yeah, we were able to show it before it even hit the market. The owner, in fact, was there, still repairing things. It was the best seller ever. I mean, he was so proactive. He was redoing the fence, he was reglazing the porch, and it's one of the only Charleston single homes. We call it Charleston single because it has 2 porches, and it's just one single home, like longer, and then it has the side porches, which is what you see a lot in downtown. And they have that in the outskirts of downtown Charleston now, which is awesome.
At an affordable price with more square footage, checking off all their boxes. I think, if anything, that we want to kind of positively empower a lot of the audience that are looking to buy, or maybe they're renting now and they want to get into home ownership or real estate investing. I think I like that you use the word investment even when speaking about purchasing a primary residence.
Yeah.
I'm sure you'd agree, right? I mean, is every real estate purchase an investment?
Yes, it is, in your future. You have to think about the principal you pay down goes back into your pocket. So, I mean, the principal it depends on your mortgage and how much you can put down, but imagine it's just $500, okay? That's amazing. $500 each month.
Yes.
That adds up quickly. I mean, that's over $5,000, that's $6,000
Because you've got a property that as the mortgage is getting paid down, ideally over time, not only is it staying at an equal value, ideally it's growing. So you have building equity inside of a home that you're making a payment that sometimes is comparable to what you would be paying in rent somewhere else.